Football is a weird game. I spent pretty much 70, 80 minutes of that game saying to myself, why am I bothering to watch this game? But in the round, somehow we got a 2-2. I don't even know what to think, because part of me was like, yep, Newcastle deserved to win, but typical topic, referees. I mean, what is going on with referees at the minute? I'm seeing decisions, I can't even think of examples because there's too many. You're looking at what happened with the Newcastle penalty. Anybody in their right mind, I'm sure even Newcastle fans will go, we're not getting that, we see that every week. I was watching that saying, they'll get that. What happened? They got it. Now, in the grand scheme of things, part of me, just for healing, was like, Newcastle deserve it anyway, because we played crap. But then, when Richarlison falls over in the box and the exact same thing happens, if anything, I look at it and think, if that was a penalty, this was even more clearer. They don't give it. We score off the corner, but it's like, what is going on? Like, I'm not here to blame the refs, because we deserve to lose that game, and I'll move on to that in a minute. But what is going on with referees, man? It's like, even Carragher was saying it. Like, as soon as you go to the screen, you know full well it's going to be a penalty, but they sit there and have a little conversation, a little natter about it. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty, innit? Like, why does he need to go to the screen, but then he's sitting there talking? So my thing is, the way I look at it is like, if I can't make a decision in my life here, and I've got headpiece in, so imagine if I'm on a date, and I'm talking to a woman, and I'm thinking, oh, you know what, yeah, I fumbled, I don't even know what to say, but I've got a headpiece in, yeah, and I've got all my friends and family in the background telling me what I should do in that situation. I might get through a date, but it's because my family and friends helped me. But it's like, well, why can't that apply in these games, in football? Why can't that apply? Because it's one of them ones, if you missed it as a referee, no problem. But if you've got people that you rely on, and they're saying, look, mate, it's a penalty. Bro, it's a penalty. Why can't they make the decision? But there's 4 people in a room that can't make a decision, and they're telling the same guy that made the wrong decision to go to a screen and make the right decision in a different way that he saw it, because he's going to slow it down. It's just stupid. But even when you slow it down, come on, man. The only reason it's a penalty is because they've got too much time to think. They're looking at it going, Bentancur ain't looking at the ball. Like, so what, man? Like, when you're, like Carragher said again, you know, I agree with Carragher quite a lot of stuff. And it's like, why, when you're a defender, would you just be looking at the ball? Because you get criticised by your coach for ball watching. So if you're not looking at the ball and you're trying to keep on both players, you're going to be looking at both. That's what Bentancur was doing. That's what every defender does. And there's never a penalty. But of course, it's Tottenham, man. We, like, it's not even playing the victim. We get decisions like that against us. That's just what happens. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I gave myself comfort, because when Gordon scored, I was like, you know what? They deserve it. And the reason why I say that is because, again, like, people were telling me I'm knee-jerk for Thomas Frank not being here. But it's like, you're not clocking what's going on. Because I don't mind a little bit of pragmatism, but it's like, when you've got Romero going forward and just taking it by the scruff of the neck and saying, like, bun you, I'm going to go and do what I need to do, we're getting goals. That's the centre-half that's, like, done that. So if you instill that energy from Romero into the rest of the team, of course there's going to be mistakes, but at least I can see a group of players that try and have a go. But you see it, like, Pape Sarr is a box-to-box play, he's all action. We told him to play in a number 8. On the ball, that guy is as good as me. Love the player, but on the ball, he's as good as me. If you want someone on the ball in centre midfielder, you might as well let me play them, because I know I can do that. But I haven't got the athleticism of Pape Sarr. So if his athleticism is better than, he's second to none. Play him in a box-to-box then, with Bergvall. You got 2 of them, because when I looked at that lineup, I thought, I haven't got a problem as long as them 2 are pressing and Bentancur covering the spaces. You know, I question Van der Ven's benching, but Danso did really well today, to be fair, with Waldemar. And he probably suited it more because he likes to rough and tumble, and Waldemar's not going to get him behind, is he? But again, we did what we did against Arsenal, and we did what we did against PSG. I don't mind protecting Leeds in that way. Why are we trying to protect 0-0s? It's 0-0. Why are you protecting it, man? Go and get a goal and then protect that. Do you know what I'm saying? That's like me walking around with a gun and walking in the streets and everyone's like, yeah, what you got a gun for? Yeah, I just got one. Protecting. And they're like, protecting what? Dunno. I'm protecting nothing. I'm just walking around with a gun. You look like an idiot. But if it's one in ones, I'm protecting my family, I'm protecting my friends, I'm protecting myself, people give me a little bit more respect, wouldn't they? Why? Because I got the lead. This is what this manager's doing, and why I don't want him at Tottenham is because you weren't doing this at Brentford. So if he was doing this at Brentford, I wouldn't want the appointment in the first place. But he weren't doing this. He had players that were pressing, people that were allowed to express themselves. But again, when you look at the players that he had, are they people that like PE teachers? Because for me, I need a manager that nobody likes. You know, people like Jurgen Klopp, everybody loved him until he started winning. When he started winning, everybody hated Liverpool. But then if I was a Liverpool fan, that's what I'd want. You know, Fergie, everybody loved Fergie. As soon as he came in and started winning everything, nobody liked Fergie. There's people that still don't like Fergie now. Wenger, the same thing. So my thing is, I don't want a PE teacher. I don't want a substitute teacher that's going to be like, oh, nicey nice. Because when I got through school, the nice teachers didn't help me. It was the strict ones. It was the tough ones that were putting it on me, and I didn't know the reason why. And then when I got good grades at school, it was the teachers that were tough on me that congratulated me. The nice ones, they were nowhere to be seen. So whenever I've played football or whenever I've gone to work, I've probably thrived when I've had a manager or a boss that's tough on me. That's when I go, right, if you're tough, I want to get tougher. And my thing is that's what needs to be brought out in some of these players. Because some of these players, they might have tough in them, but Thomas Frank ain't going to bring that out of you. He's not going to. And, you know, if Andrew's going to bring it out of you, he might have brought it out of you, but he didn't have the tactics to establish that. So, like I keep saying, the only reason why I don't want Thomas Frank here, or I didn't want Angie, is because there's got to be a manager out there that can meet the balance. And from what I'm seeing of someone like Areola, I'm not saying he will sort everything, but he's got the balance. You know, Bournemouth are Bournemouth, so they lost tonight to Everton, and you go, all right, you'd expect Bournemouth to win that, but, you know, Bournemouth fans will take that loss knowing that they've got better results elsewhere. So, you know, it was, if I'm going to say anything positive, it was Thomas Frank's lineup. I didn't have a problem with that. It was the implementation. So, as much as, you know, it was horrible, Thomas Frank has got to be part to blame. But then there's a lot of fans that are criticising the players. But what are the players being told? Because I'm looking at Papsar and Bergvall, and they're slowing the game down. I'm looking at Kudus, and when he's finally facing up to Fitzhall's shook. But then what do? We're playing it long into Kudus, so by the time he's chested it and brought it down, Hall's got enough time to figure out what we're doing. It was the same on the other side. You know, like, I mean, Brennan Johnson, why has he done so long? You know, when we've got a dead manager, when you've got a player like Xavi Simons and he can't get the best out of him, but then he's not only not getting the best out of him, he's playing Brennan Johnson instead. Like, Xavi Simons is a number 10, but he can come off the left. You got Matthias Tell, who came on for like 5 minutes and looked better than Brennan, and I'd rather have him than Brennan Johnson. You know, you've got Odebert, who just when he picks up a little bit of momentum, we drop him or we make him come off the bench or he's not in the squad. But realistically, we've got 5 wingers that just ain't good enough. But Thomas Frank is not going to make that problem a solution. He's not going to, because we've got 5 wingers and he wants to play it long. You know, there was times where Kevin Danso was taking a goal kick, passing it to Vicario, and then Vicario is booting it. I was like, what are we doing? We're wasting time with that. Is that what we're doing? Time wasting. Because that pass from Danso to the keeper to boot it anyway. Why can't you just boot it? And then about 60 minutes later, we started booting it anyway. No, I'm not being funny, man. Like, how can you be getting paid millions of pounds to say that's how we're going to play football? I'm not saying I'm a better coach than Thomas Frank, yeah? But if someone said about my mentality towards football, that mentality that I got is better than Thomas Frank. I don't care what no one says. If I had the qualities, the experience, the pay, and the love for the club, I'll die out on my sword. So if that's one of the weird way I respect Ange, because the results weren't coming, but he died on his sword, and he died on his sword with a trophy. Do I feel that Thomas Frank's going to do that? Only time will tell, because if he spoke to me 6 months ago and said Ange's going to win your trophy, I'd just be like, I don't know why he keeps going on with that quote, but he went and brought it in. So, do I want to give Thomas Frank time? No. Just because you're showing me what I need to expect. So, if somehow we fluke a load of results and we finish in the top 5 this season, that means we're going to give Thomas Frank a load of money, and then he's just going to play the same football with maybe better players, maybe, because we don't know how he's going to spend it, and we don't know who's spending it, and we don't know how much we're going to get. Why? Because Tottenham's just a bubble gum of crap. It's just everything is crap, and I feel that there's people that whether it's the players, whether it be the manager, or whether it be the owners, they're just a load of people winging it. There's not enough honest people. Like, I'm one of them people that's the most, like, what you see with me is what you get. So I don't feel that we've got enough people in the whole club that are like that, because when you get people that will ruffle a few feathers, that's when change comes. But fortunately, we've got at Tottenham, we've just got a load of fairies that are happy to get paid and just see how it goes. That's not me though. So because you lot are on that wavelength, if it ain't Frank out, 25 players.